Hello, all you beautiful people. This is Intentional Healing, and I am Nicole Bridger. Today, I want to talk to you about an idea of what if your complaining and excuses are actually keeping you stuck in your victim. This is a really tricky one to see because many of us get so identified with the things that we complain about regularly, the reasons why things are not our fault, and it keeps us stuck. So before we begin, let's just take a deep breath. And as you exhale, sinking further into your sea, noticing where out there in your life your mind is scattered, things calling your attention. And with your inhale, simply breathing that thought energy back into your body. And as you exhale, sinking even deeper into your chair. There's nowhere you need to be but right here for this next little while together. So take a moment to think about some things that you often like to complain about. This is going to be a little bit tricky, and where there's a good clue is when you feel defensive about the things you're complaining about. That defensiveness, though, it can be frustrating, is a clue. It's telling you there's something here that you don't want to let go of, that you don't want to see differently. It's serving a purpose to your shadow self, to not having to step into the light. Some examples of complaints perhaps might sound like, oh, there are no good men in this city. I'm never going to find a good man in this city. That's why I'm single. I often hear people complain something along those lines, man or woman, reasons why they are not getting the thing they want. They want a relationship, and there's a reason outside of themselves that they cannot change. Or people are so unreliable. That's why my business is being affected. That's why I cannot seem to get where I want to go. I just can't rely on people. I can't rely on staff. I can't rely on clients. People are flaky, something of that nature. I'm not able to succeed because of the fault of others. Oh, they would never hire me because I'm a woman, because of my body, because of my accreditation or lack thereof, seemingly so. Again, something that I desire, but I have already created an excuse of why I'm not getting something that I want. It's their fault that I'm not getting what I want. Or perhaps it's something related to your health. I could never do that because I have this condition. Oh, it's harder for me because, and again, something seemingly out of your control. And I know that there's that part of you that's going to want to be defensive, but I do have this condition. It is harder for me. So take a deep breath and notice when I share things and they trigger you and you want to start to argue with me why you should be able to hold the complaints, the excuses that you have. Is that word excuse even triggering you? It's not an excuse, it's my reality. It's the truth. Take a deep breath. I know this is tricky. Essentially, what's going on is that we find reasons to stay in this belief, to stay in our limited beliefs, which are keeping us stuck as victims to circumstance, instead of the truth, which is that you are actually in the driver's seat. And it is only because of your limited beliefs that you are experiencing the reality that you are experiencing. So at first that might sound annoying because it's so much easier to make it everybody else's fault or other reasons that you cannot control. But then you're staying in victim. Then you are powerless to your experience. If I could offer you a reframe on the perspective that puts you in the power seat, wouldn't that be amazing? Wow, I actually have a choice. It's just that then you only have yourself to blame. And careful, I'm not saying that so that you feel blame and shame. I'm saying that so that you begin to take responsibility for the experience that you're having. Not to make yourself feel like crap, but to help elevate yourself. To see, wow, I can see how having these specific limited beliefs have drawn in these experiences. They drew in these annoying experiences so that I could actually look at those limited beliefs, so that I could bring them to the light and step into my own divine light, my own divine power, and shift the experience to the one that I actually want to be having. And yes, it's scary as hell. I will tell you that. It can be really scary to shift from making it everybody else's fault to actually taking ownership and stepping into your light. Marianne Williamson has a fantastic quote about this. I'm not going to say it exactly off the top of my head, but it's our light that we are afraid of, not our weakness. We are terrified of our power beyond measure. It's important to recognize why this is so hard to let go of, because it brings a little bit of compassion to yourself instead of judging yourself and being frustrated with yourself. Remember, if you stay in judgment of yourself, it's going to keep a hold on your survival brain. So your survival brain is responsible for keeping you alive. And it's not going to feel safe letting go of these beliefs that you have been holding probably your entire life, most of the time, unless there's specific trauma along your life that has created these. And it's just used to these limited beliefs keeping you safe. No, this is how we see the world. This is how we function. This is what's safe. And now, as you start to want to shift, that part of you is not going to feel safe trying a different way. And what happens is you stay a victim to circumstance rather than seeing that you are creating the experience that you are having with your thoughts. So how do we shift this? Well, first we need to be able to actually acknowledge the limited beliefs that we are having. And that requires gentleness, listening, and honesty. It can be really hard to admit these things to ourselves, let alone others. So take a moment right now to think about one of the excuses that you seem to run a lot. And they might be tricky to see. If you have a dear friend that you feel you can have this kind of compassionate conversation with and not feel judged or criticized, your friends will know what you like to complain about on a regular basis. Or it may even be that you notice other people complaining and it bothers you. If you look at that, you might have the same complaint. Often things that bother us are things that we're holding on to also. So let's take the example of, there are no good men in this city. I'm going to be single forever. If we take a moment to breathe into that, breathe into the fear. What is this part of you actually afraid of? Perhaps in this example, this person's afraid of being hurt. Maybe it feels safer to be on your own. Maybe it feels safer and more comfortable to be out of a relationship. Maybe there's a part of you that's afraid of not being good enough. Not wanting somebody else to point out your flaws or show you that you aren't good enough. These are the voices to listen to, the true, deeper fears, with so much compassion. Because the point of those uncomfortable feelings is to see the truth. The truth is that you are good enough just as you are. And only you can recognize that. Only you can realize that you are good enough just as you are. Nobody else can teach that to you. That is true in your divine light. Your soul knows that you are good enough just as you are. And is calling you to remember this. You have simply forgotten during this human existence. Or if it's that you're scared of being hurt. Perhaps the truth is that it's okay to feel hurt sometimes. That there is much to learn. Much to learn in the experience of allowing uncomfortable emotions. Allowing yourself to feel pain when it hurts. Not trying to avoid it or deny it or jump away from it. Or really, it only hurts when you let it hurt. There are so many deep truths that we are trying to run away from. And the real work in this is recognizing when you are complaining as a way to stay small, as a way to stay in your safe little box, seemingly safe, but forever the victim of circumstance. And if you are ready for a shift, ready to be in the power seat, then it requires you to see the truth of this. See the truth of what you're afraid of. And gently step into your divine light. I can see how my complaining is really me being afraid to step into my light. I am good enough just as I am. I'm worthy, deserving, safe, lovable, capable, whatever it might be. I wish you ease as you begin to look at these parts of yourself. I know it's not easy. And please join me this week for a meditation. This meditation is about observing ourselves and our emotions. Learning to keep a distance and not step into them and be them. How to observe so that we can learn without attachment. I wish you a blessed day. Be well.